All right, hey everybody, Mark Burgess here, B.A.S.S Bass Fishing again. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you choose to celebrate. I hope you have a memorable, enjoyable time with your friends and your family. As you can see from behind me, we have our Christmas tree set up. So it is that time of year. It's also the same time that B.A.S.S just announced that they're doing away with the co-angler program for the Bassmaster Opens. Okay, so I really felt compelled to talk about this. I have done several videos regarding this a while back. One's called, The Fate of the Co-Angler, because you could kind of see this coming. You really could. So I feel I'm in a position that I can offer my opinion because I feel it carries a little weight. Okay, so I'll explain. So when I started fishing, bass fishing tournaments, was in the early 90s. My first professional tournament was the fall of 1996 on Lake Hartwell. And it was an invitational. My first full year was 1997. I fished the 4 Bassmaster Eastern Invitationals, okay? And the invitationals were pro on pro, or boater on boater, okay? There were really no co-anglers to speak of. There might have been a few that came that didn't have a boat, but it was essentially, for the professionals, for the boaters, okay? I joined the Association of Bass Professionals. I became a pro, fished that first year, and had a good season, despite really not really knowing a lot about, that level of bass fishing and bass fishing in other areas of the country, if I'm being honest. But I did pretty well. Found myself in 14th place going into the last tournament of the season, which was on Lake Hartwell in the spring. Okay, and I'm getting off track a little bit, but basically I was kind of clueless as to what went on down there in the spring, and I fell to like 32nd or 33rd overall in the points. And Bass changed their rule to not go back on the list. They're only taking the top 25 to go to the BP top 150, and I was like 32nd, 33rd, something like that. And I realized that there were a lot of guys that double qualified. They were already part of the 150s that fished the opens, and just by process of elimination, I was going to be in, no problem. But Bass changed the rule. That's when they came up with the Legends exemption. Okay, so there was a bunch of legends that did not requalify for the BP top 150s. So they made this rule. Okay, I know. And that way there, they could stay in the BP top 150s. And, Bass wanted them there because they were the stars of the sport at that time. Okay, so flash forward a few years, I fished the invitationals, then they became the opens, and that's where the co-angler came into play. Very successful program. I think Bass was competing with FLW because FLW had a phenomenal co-angler program. Okay, they really, really groomed those guys to be in the front of the boat, and a lot of them, we watch now. They're just, incredible anglers and have gone on to become, stars. So that being said, I believe it's run its course at that level, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I read the press release, and I know what they said, with COVID and everything, and I really don't think that's a big part of it, to be honest with you. What's happened is they've made the Open Series so important in the sport of professional bass fishing that the co-angler can and has and would alter the outcome of the tournament for whoever they fish with, okay? I've had it happen to me numerous times. And it's just, it's been part of the sport, but now where the opens, they have the 2 divisions now. They're doing this for a while, where if you win an open and you fished all 3 or 4 in the division, then you qualify for the Bassmasters Classic. All right, that's a big deal. That's a real big deal. That's the biggest deal. And then the EQ anglers, what they come up with last year before, something like that, top 9 in points. Had to fish all of them to be considered an EQ angler, and then he took the top 9. So now what they're doing is they have 2 divisions. Let's say it's an East and a Central. 4 tournaments apiece, okay? So you fish those 4 tournaments. If you fished all 4 tournaments and you won a tournament, you qualify for the Bassmasters Classic by winning that tournament. If you're in the top 50 in points on, say, the East Division and the Central Division, you can fish both, or you can fish either one. If you're in the top 50, then you qualify for the 3 tournaments at the end of the season to be an EQ angler. Okay, so they're going to have 100 guys battle it out for, I believe, the top 10 to qualify for the following year Elite Series. Okay, that's a big deal. That's a big deal, and the co-angler influence is good or bad. I mean, it's a lot of them are sticks, and they've helped their boater. But they've also caught a fish the boater could catch and affected the outcome of the tournament. Certainly, that day, and that influenced the rest of the tournament. Okay, so that's why they can't have it. Okay, so coincidentally, it coincides with front-facing sonar. Okay, so if you drew a pro in the spring on a betting tournament, if you drew a guy during that time of year and it was a spawn, whether, fish spawn at all different times in the spring, depending on where you're fishing. Some guys choose to just fish. Some guys will go all in on sight fishing. If it's a fish worth fishing for, you could spend an hour or more. Okay, if you see a 7-8 pounder on a bed and she's looking like she's going to bite, you might get wrapped up trying to catch that fish for a long time. Bad deal for the co-angler. Okay, you run out of places to throw your bait, and you've gone through everything in your bag. So that's not bad enough. Picture being out in 30 to 70 feet of water with the guy in the front of the boat, the pro, the boater, if you will, with the trolling motor on 10, looking for roaming fish. What are you going to do? Okay, what are you going to do? I mean, if you're in 30 feet or less and you're doing that, okay, fine. You can throw some baits around. You can throw a Carolina rig. You can wing a football jig out there. You could fish a jerk bait or spy bait or whatever. You're random fishing. Maybe you can see the graph at the console and what's going on and make some decisions based on that. But it's just very, very difficult. Okay, so I'm sure Bass heard a lot of negative comments from the co-anglers regarding their boater using front-facing sonar all day and them not having anything to fish. And they paid their money to be there. They traveled. They spent a lot of money on lodging and food, as we all do. And yeah, you're stuck in the back of the boat with, not catching any fish. So, throw in some inclement weather there, and that just adds insult to injury, So I really think that's the reason for Bass's decision, okay? So the opens now are just too important in the grand scheme of things to qualify for the Elite Series and or a Classic to have it influenced by somebody else. That's my opinion, okay? The Bass Nation Series, okay? That's where you still have an opportunity as a co-angler to fish, to learn from the pro or the boater. Fish with as many different people that you can. I know, where I'm from, Massachusetts, B.A.S.S Nation, we have a Pro-Am trail. Okay, we have for years. Very successful. That's where, it's boater and co-angler, randomly paired. You're paired with a different boater for the 4, 5 now qualifying tournaments. We still have that opportunity for co-anglers. You're going to qualify, or if you try to qualify for a regional qualifier, okay, or if you want to buy your way into that regional qualifier, that is a Pro-Am format. That is a boater co-angler format. The tournament that I'm preparing for right now is on the James River, okay, out of Richmond in the 3rd week of April, okay. That will be boater and co-angler, okay, so there's opportunity there. It's a big regional tournament. There's 4 divisions, there's 4 of those regional qualifiers throughout the country. Again, there's an opportunity there for you. That can lead to, last year you had to be in the top 20 at the end of the regional qualifier, or you can qualify from your state. Right now I'm going through a list of 10 boaters and 10 co-anglers that get an early entry code into that James River tournament. So there'll be opportunity there. And you can continue that with the Nationals. The Nationals, again, are a boater co-angler blind draw tournament. And that, you have an opportunity to qualify for the Bass Masters Classic. The co-angler has an opportunity to qualify to go to the Bass Masters Classic. Okay? So they give you both the last day if you qualified as a co-angler at the National to compete and qualify for a classic. So there's still a lot of opportunity for co-anglers. Of course, there's always a team trail. I mean, in addition, B.A.S.S Nation, we have the Pro-Am trail, we have a Sunday team trail, we have a midweek team trail, and we have a high school trail, okay? So there's opportunity there in every state to get on the back of a boat. You may have to fish some team tournaments. Not all states have a Pro-Am trail. I'm not aware of another state that has a Pro-Am trail. I'm sure there's probably some. But that's just my 2 cents on it. It's necessary. It's necessary right now, and I know a lot of guys, especially you co-anglers, you're not happy about it, and I feel you. But that's the progression. Okay, that's happened, and we'll ride this wave, this change as long as we can. See where it goes. All right. So again, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Looking forward to 2025. I hope you are too. And we may see you here before the new year. It's coming up quick, but if I don't, we'll see you next year. Don't you hate that when people say that? All right. We'll see you out there. Be good.